Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Unqualified Film Bros podcast. Three of us here tonight. We missed you last week. Let's start the episode. We are talking about
Madam,
Madam Web.
there you go.
This, you know, this was certainly.
This was one of the
I'm
movies
just
of all.
I'm just gonna say it. This is gonna be my worst. When we do end of
Mhm.
year top fives in December, this is gonna be my worst picture of the year.
Mm. That's
I don't. There's nothing on our calendar, and there's nothing I see any interest in. For the rest of the year that could possibly be any worse than this. And I'm
oh,
counting Craven and Venom 3.
mm.
The terrible movie. It's very, very bad.
I feel like for me the thing that most annoyed me honestly was that
No, no, no,
like
Declan, you talk about the positives. You gave this thing 2 stars.
I did give it. Okay, here are the
I was
positives.
thinking, like, can I give this 0 stars on Letterboxd? That's what I was thinking. And you're up here 2 stars.
That's pretty valid. I okay.
Revised.
Positives. Some of the actresses are attractive in this film.
I was gonna say that's the only positive in this film is that
That's
human
that's
is
kind
it's
of
all terrible except the main cast is very attractive,
honestly, yeah.
How
so
about you
that's
talk about their acting skills, gentlemen?
Mhm. It's
it's not their fault. Like the acting is what it is, but it's like you can't act out
Mhm.
this stuff. Even nobody was convinced by this movie going on their press tour. They're all
the
like, "Yeah, we filmed it in front of a blue screen. It's kind of psychotic." Um, Nobody believed in this film. They got baited into doing this film by saying it's a Marvel film.
yeah.
It's not a Marvel film.
I'm genuinely convinced that's how Dakota Johnson saw
That's
it.
absolutely what it is.
I read a great
Absolutely.
interview. I
Yeah.
read a great interview with Elizabeth Olsen
Mm.
saying that Dakota Johnson reached out to her after she signed on for Madam Web, and the whole vibe, like there was commentary on the interview, and the whole vibe of the commentary was like, yeah, Dakota Johnson 100% thought she was joining the MCU when she signed on for this movie.
It's so crazy that like
I I even saw like
Sony
something where
deserves to be
when
reprimanded and also like punished via fines for the nonsense they pulled. Like they have Spider-Man. All right, that's great. What are you fucking doing? Like really? Morbius?
yeah.
Adam Web? Well, we got Craven the Hunter coming out. You're taking every like villain and side character in Spider-Man's comic arsenal and just making shit films. Like you're not even trying.
Yeah.
These movies suck, and
Yeah.
it's
So
aggressively bad.
mhm.
I enjoy bad movies. These are
Mm.
so bad that you can't even enjoy them because they're so aggressively bad.
Yeah.
They're trying to be bad. That's too far.
Mhm. I'll say the other positive of this film is Dakota Johnson's interviews are fucking hilarious because she like is so
Yeah, it's pretty
over it
accurate.
and like she's
Her
probably so annoyed that she got tricked into the no, not tricked, but
her whole
Yeah,
junket
she
has
got
just
tricked.
been.
like it's actually
If you guys have not seen, and I'm talking to the audience here, not you two, because I know you two have spent hours and hours watching Dakota Johnson's interviews. But if you, the audience, have not seen Dakota Johnson's press junket for Madam Web, I highly recommend you check it out. We highly recommend you check it out,
It's very
because
that
entertaining.
it's
It's
an
very
adventure.
illuminating.
it's like it just it's so deadpan but also like so funny like every single moment of that. But
For
besides that, I feel like the thing that annoyed me most about the film is that like Morbius at least had a certain amount of like incompetence that was like it was like the incompetence of a car crash that you couldn't take your eyes away from. I feel like half the time this movie was just kind of
Jared Leto actually has the cringe factor innately. So
yes.
being in a cringe movie just
Hmm.
accentuates that versus a lot of these
Yeah.
actors and actresses do not deserve to be in this garbage.
No, it's
I'm
like
sure they got paid well enough, but like
mhm.
this is garbage. And
You know,
I want to clean. I would pay so much money to just
Mhm.
have it wiped clean from my resume.
Yeah.
this movie, and I just want to touch on one quick positive before we get into the laundry list of negatives here.
Mhm.
But while this film, with its Spider Women team, sort of went for a, dare I say, Birds of Prey type team.
Yeah, I mean, sort of, but like what this really reminded me of is Final Destination. It's set in place of the early 2000s, and it actually is shot like an early 2000s horror movie, like Final Destination.
That's a good
Um,
That's a
I
good
don't
comment.
know what the hell they were thinking, but
If I could finish my
why?
thought.
Why? Yes.
Um, I don't know how you guys are going to react to this. The chemistry shared by the three members of the team, not Dakota Johnson,
Mm.
is better than the chemistry shared by the three members of the team or four members of the team or whatever it was in Birds of Prey. Because those performances, Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Rosie Perez, those weren't good performances. That movie was carried by Margot Robbie and Ewan McGregor. This movie has a decent supporting cast: Isabella Merced, Sydney Sweeney, and yet Dakota Johnson and whatever his name is who plays the villain of the film are so catastrophically terrible
Mm.
that you
Honestly,
can't even
everyone,
acknowledge the good performances like I'm doing without talking about how bad the bad performances were.
I'll be honest, every performance is pretty bad.
Mm.
It's not the actor's fault. Again, it's
Nah.
the script is so terrible. You could
It's
put any
written by the same people who did Morbius.
wow.
I'm not lying,
Unbelievable.
Declan. That is
Also, can we
that
acknowledge the
is
fact that
fact.
they reuse their own fucking formula? Oh wow, the intro is going to study spiders instead of bats. Wow.
Yeah, except the best line from the trailer
Mm.
is not in the fucking movie.
Yeah, and can we acknowledge how terrible even the trailer people are at like cutting up this nonsense into it made it worse. They made a trailer that was worse than the film. Like the film was bad, but the trailer made it seem like it was
The
0%, 12% or whatever.
the thing about this movie that I find so frustrating in the Sony universe of Spider-Man characters, which I think is what it calls itself. I don't know. It's MCU adjacent, but it all sucks. This
Yeah,
movie
this shitty
is
MCU.
like what we get with Venom is actually a decent, not a good film, but it's a
Mm.
decent film.
First one, yes.
The first one. The second one has the credit scene that ties into the MCU. Morbius has the credit scene that connects to Michael
But did this
Keaton's
one have
character.
a credit scene? Because I really didn't stay.
This one I
It did.
walked out during the credits because
I
I Googled and it did not. One reason why I gave this film an extra half star is because it spared us from having
I
a
I
post
for
credit
some
scene.
reason didn't look it up and just assumed it would have an extra credit scene.
No
Big
credit scene.
worst mistake of my life.
This
What are they
film,
gonna do? Madam
not
Web shows
only
up. It's like somehow this is Spider-Man's.
not only is this film so distant from the MCU and everything Sony's trying to do by saying, "Hey, we're doing this too. Let's try to connect it." And Kevin Feige being like, "All right, you guys stay over there, and
Yeah.
we'll throw the Marvel logo at the beginning and then forget about it."
Yeah.
Is that this movie is not even connected to fucking Morbius and Venom. Like one, it takes place 20 years earlier,
Well,
so you
the
can't
thing-
really connect it.
all right. So what you're not understanding is that her web connects them all.
What's my name, Ben? What's my name? Look at my name.
Yeah, but apparently you forgot your name.
Yeah, but what you need to remember is that this movie sucks, so I don't really
Hmm.
care.
It's like it's It-
They
it
should give
doesn't-
up. Can I just be honest? They should give up.
they
Like,
they really should. They
how much money
I
are you
saw
going? The sunk cost fallacy is a fallacy. Don't just stop. All
Mhm.
right.
There are
Even
two things that I'm
find a
going to
way
say to that.
place.
Mhm.
Two things that I'm going to say to that.
Okay.
Number one, stop teasing us with Peter fucking Parker if you're not going to show him.
Yes.
Because
What is going
every
on?
time we've talked about Spider-Man in these movies, and we did Let There Be Carnage on the pod, we did Morbius on the pod, now we're doing Madam Web on the pod. Venom 3 and Craven are on the calendar, boys.
What?
What,
Oh my
what
God.
we have here is a universe that promises Spider-Man, but at this point, I'm convinced he's never going to show up.
Like,
In this
I mean,
one,
do you
Peter
think-
Parker is fucking born. He's never going to show up.
like,
Where's it gonna show up?
like I'll say,
And
I'll say,
the second thing that I'm going to say
Mm.
in response to your point, Ben, about them, they should just give up, is that apparently I'm hearing that Sony is going to reevaluate its entire path forward with this universe based on the success or failure of Craven.
oh God.
So they're
Oh,
going to let
Craven.
Madam Web be a complete box office bomb. They're going to let it be a critical failure.
Mhm.
They're setting up the sequel clearly, but they're going to wait until Craven, which is after Venom 3. Venom 3 comes out, I think, in August or September, and then Craven's in October. We're going to have to wait until both of those movies come out to see whether Sony continues with this charade. And frankly, I'm going to be there for all of it because
Yeah.
this is
Obviously.
it's like a train wreck, Declan. You said it best. You can't look away.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter how much Ben wants to, you can't look away.
I can. I have the power.
I'll give the
I've seen
film
the future, and it's not good.
You see the future. Yeah. Yeah. I'll give the film this. I don't think it's like a particularly unique performance, but like Adam Scott is entertaining a little bit because it's Adam Scott, you know,
I
like
don't want to hear it.
I
They just
guess.
slap Ben Parker on there and like Adam Scott. Say
I-
something.
They used the line twice. He's so excited to be an uncle. Like you're hitting us over the head with this thing. We know he's Uncle Ben, and I wouldn't be surprised if Adam Scott's Uncle Ben is, the Uncle Ben for Tom Holland's Peter Parker and Marissa Tomei's Aunt May. Like that would make sense.
honestly,
I don't get the Peter Parker being born in 2003 thing because that would make him like 13 in Civil War.
Mhm.
But maybe it's a different Peter Parker variant who's just younger. We've seen
Yeah.
older and younger variants of the same guy. So
Yeah.
No, George, you're overthinking this.
you know what, Ben? As I was talking, I realized I was overthinking it.
They didn't think. I was gonna say they underthought it, but they didn't.
The other thing I'll also say is like imagine being like a normal person who doesn't learn about like the intricate like legal ownership of certain characters and is just sitting there watching the film and like seeing Adam Scott's Ben Parker be like I met someone. Oh, what's her name? And then he doesn't say May. Like or later on when it's like, oh, what's my son's name going to be? Is it Ben? No, and they never actually state what the son's name, which is Peter, is going to be. It's like imagine just like sitting there and being
I'll
like,
be honest. As someone that knows all these characters, I thought it was exceptionally weird that he was just like, "Oh, who is it?" And he's just like,
yeah, exactly. Like it's so weird. And it would probably be even more just insane if you like have no idea for the reason why. It would be like it's weird that like in
It gives me a little bit of like
your face
relief, I'll say, that most of the cast, again, except for Dakota Johnson, and I'm gonna look up his name because I can't remember who plays the villain, and he's terrible. Give me one second.
"That's terrible." It's a really. I think they
Sahar
done.
Rahim plays Ezekiel Sims.
Okay, all right.
And aside from those two,
They
Adam
did that.
Scott, Sydney Sweeney, everyone else in the supporting cast, they at least feel like they're trying with a terrible script and story.
That's true.
And maybe it's just the fact that Jared Leto is Jared Leto, And Matt Smith in
No,
Morbius.
Jared Leto fully believed in this film. You can tell it in his performance that he's
Right. That's what I'm getting at. Matt Smith has the time of his life in a shitty movie, and he knows he's in a shitty movie.
Mhm.
absolutely.
Jared Leto is taking Morbius so goddamn seriously. And Dakota Johnson and Tahar Rahim are taking Madam Web so goddamn seriously. And the thing that makes Morbius, dare I say, better than this film is that Morbius at least can be fun.
Mhm.
There's no fun in this movie.
This movie sucks.
Yeah.
Like,
It's true.
Say.
Like the ending where she's like in the like wheelchair and it's like sort of supposed to look
Oh,
like
she's Professor X. Dakota
like
Johnson is the MCU's Professor X.
I hope that's the case, honestly. That would be amazing. But no, it's so like it's just so dumb, like her with like the ridiculous like glasses.
Oh, I sense you have Chinese food.
Bless you.
Wow.
What? You?
I didn't. So I read the Wikipedia plot description, which is probably a better way of telling this story than the movie is.
Absolutely.
And I didn't even see in the movie when the firework hits her in the face and blinds her as she's falling into the water.
I didn't see it either.
I feel like
she comes out of the water and they do the CPR, which, by the way, if during the training montage you didn't think the three of them were going to do CPR on her by the end, you were fucking kidding yourself. The whole time that she's like down in the water and then she comes up and she's suddenly blind, it's like,
yeah, I saw her eyes.
How did that happen?
Is that a new power?
I was like, oh, when she fell into the water, was there like something in the water? Like
the most important thing about all of these different plot threads that sort of come out of nowhere is that her web connects them all.
That's true. That is true. Her web does connect them all.
Hey, the one question I really had during the entire film was Ezekiel. He keeps putting on his spider uniform or something. What's with these spider uniforms? Like the guys in the Amazon look like they're wearing the ripped Spider-Man uniform.
A little bit like, yeah, they have the eye thing.
Yeah, they look like human spider hybrids in the opening sequence, and then he's just a regular dude later in the movie.
I don't understand this whole spider thing. Like Spider-Man's bitten by a...
well, Ben, he was in the Amazon with her mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
Yeah.
He gets bit by a mutant like spider.
Radioactive spider.
Yeah, like a radioactive specifically a mutant spider because he's like a pseudo mutant. They just took some there's just some random ass spiders that give you powers. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, but you have to understand that they're deep in the Amazon, and that's where he was with her mom when she was researching spiders before she died.
They're like, oh, bats give Morbius powers. He turns into that dude. And then spiders. Yeah, there's just no thought here, is there?
Bruce Wayne is trust fund Michael Morbius. I said what I said.
Bruce Wayne is the variant.
Where did the Spider-Man costumes come from? Does it just like come out of his skin? Did he make that himself?
No, he made a spider suit and he puts it on when he goes out to do crimes and whatnot.
Who doesn't have a spider suit to specifically kill people who in your dream
Declan,
kill you?
I'll tell you who doesn't have a spider suit. The three women who are teased as spider women in dream sequences only.
Yeah, well, they do in the spider visions, whatever. I don't know.
Does she see them?
They are never shown in the story of the movie.
What are their powers? Spider-Woman had like a magic, like she was shooting laser beams from her hands. This is not a power I remember from the comics.
Because I don't think it is a power from the comics.
Did I miss something?
Yeah, you missed seeing any other good movie this weekend.
Like, what's with the other woman has the Scarlet Spider suit? Like, why? It just doesn't make any sense. None
I
of it makes sense.
I'll also say, just speaking of the characters, I saw this and I thought it was true. It was a cool tribute to 2003 cinema by having it where Sydney Sweeney wears glasses and therefore is not attractive, and therefore she's a
Yeah,
frumpy.
that's what I thought until they pulled out the ultimate wild card, which is they button up her shirt and then she caught again. See, that's the reverse.
That's true. That is
So
true. It
they
was
didn't even
it
make
was a
use.
subversion. You know what? You're right.
They didn't make use of it though. Nobody's like, oh my God, that girl, she's so unattractive and nerdy.
Yeah.
And then you take off the glasses or button up the shirt. They just do it. And all of a sudden she's attractive the entire time. Because yeah, she's Sydney Sweeney. I mean,
Also, why would you
Y'all are
dance on
pigs.
the table? Like, why wouldn't you like just dance on the
you can't. They're attractive women. Like that's just an
They are,
object.
but I was focused on their performances.
Oh wow, in this movie,
Rock
that's
solid analysis on my part,
very
because I do a movie
experimental.
podcast.
Do you see that, women? Do you see George there?
Yeah,
He's a true feminist.
he's into the art. That's why he refuses to watch Taxi Driver until they win funky films.
Dang, that was Ben has been holding that back for a while.
Holding it back, he
Yeah.
says it every week.
Okay, that's true. Never mind.
Like every other week. What are you talking about?
You're right. You're right, and that's only because we were off last week.
Yeah.
So I don't even really want to ask questions about this
Who's winning the
because it's not
Oscar?
really worth it. But let's talk about Dakota Johnson
hmm
because she's the star of the film.
She's
She
attractive,
clearly doesn't fit in a superhero movie.
hmm
This is technically her origin story, but also like she's not a good lead for this story.
So when
And
you
this story
said
didn't
that,
really earn being told. So I'm curious what you guys thought about Dakota Johnson
so,
in this.
like when you said that Dakota Johnson was acting very seriously, that took me back because to me it seems like she got roped into this, probably signed the contract, and then discovered that this is not the MCU.
She did change agents after
Um,
also.
and she acts that way because it seems like she's literally acting the way that she talks in interviews, very sarcastic. Like
hmm
she doesn't believe a single thing she says, and she shouldn't because the writing's terrible. It wouldn't have changed much.
Yeah,
Like she clearly understands that this movie is trash
mhm.
and acted appropriately.
Yeah. I I I don't that doesn't a good performance make, but it is, but I
But
do agree
even
that
the
I think
actors, see, the problem is even the actors trying didn't do
mhm.
performances because there's no doing good performances.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
impossible. This isn't like just a bad film. It's like they went under the bar. Sure, it has 12%, but this is probably under 0% for me.
That should be a tagline on the poster, a quote on the poster, under the bar.
What I love about
Uh,
Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't find Rotten Tomatoes to be like the end all be all about movie reviews. I like to form my own opinions on things, even though we did an episode on Staying Alive. Um, but what I do like about Rotten Tomatoes is that it's not, every single review, every single critic giving a score that averages out to 12%. No. 12% of the reviews of this film are positive. And if you go on Rotten Tomatoes, as I have, and read the positive reviews of this film,
What did
it's
they
a
say?
great way to spend half an hour because it's so funny to see what sort of straws these people are grasping at to give some praise to this movie. 12% of, I don't know, 80 critics have reviewed this on Rotten Tomatoes.
What's amazing is that those critics actually believe in the film more than
Exactly.
anyone involved in
Yeah.
the film itself.
Yep. That's hilarious.
And it's like, honestly, I don't want to paint anybody in this film or the directors or the people that wrote it as the villains, because most likely it's the executives. I mean,
Yeah.
to be
Oh,
fair,
it's
the
Sony
screenwriters
saying we have to do this movie.
Yeah.
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 screenwriters should do Morbius, but like, sometimes you get pigeonholed into a terrible project.
Mhm.
I would say, just looking at the broad strokes of Sony themselves, that they are the ones to blame for this because they put out shit
Yeah.
so much. And they're the only familiar factor there. Sure, Morbius is bad, this is bad. But like, yeah, Venom is an okay movie. It's really only good because you have like good performances in areas that you can actually elevate the script. Like,
Mhm.
it's clear they gave Tom Hardy some, leeway to do what he wanted. And that only saves the film so much. And then you have Venom 2, which is just terrible. There's something bad here. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 1 is like not great, but it's clear that they
It's
just
watchable. The
they
first Andrew
rushed
Garfield
out
Spider-Man is
Amazing Spider-Man
watchable.
2. And I mean, this is just trash. Spider-Man 3, famously ruined by executives because
Yeah.
they put in a bunch of villains
Mhm.
Sam Raimi never wanted. I
Mhm.
mean, this is like almost 20 years they've had these film rights. And
And
they just like put their hands in everything. It's like,
Mhm.
stop.
and it's
Meanwhile,
hilarious.
Marvel
You're literally-
Studios
All
Marvel
right,
Studios
so
has made 3 banger Spider-Man movies
if
Yeah.
anyone
in
is
3
familiar,
tries.
um, George will understand this. Dan Snyder is one of the worst owners. Somehow he sold all his shit for like $8 billion or whatever. It's a crime, honestly. But
It is.
aside from the crimes that he actually committed, probably.
Yeah.
Wait, are we talking
Dan
about
Snyder
Dan
is
Snyder of
Declan. Dan
Nickelodeon?
Snyder is no good person.
Dan Snyder, former owner of the Commanders, but he always put his hands in everything. He chased away Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan. He chased away all the
He
talent.
chased away Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel, Matt LaFleur.
He chased away the entire like playoffs, caliber teams essentially.
Oh my gosh.
It's unbelievably bad ownership.
I don't remember. Was it his fault that RG3 left?
Well, sure, but RG3 was already not great when he left. I mean, that's a separate story.
We
I
need
can't.
Chip here for that, but also we need Chip here to talk about this movie.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That was also like Jay Gruden too. But yeah.
Yeah,
Regardless,
you're right.
The main point was that Sony needs to stop putting their hands in everything because it's clear that they are.
And like I'll just
They're not doing any good. For 20 years, they have done only bad.
Mhm.
So survey says stop.
Stop. Get some help. But like we also even literally know when they at the very least give like the creatives proper free reign and all that, they have success with the Spider-Verse films.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, animation probably a
Uh-oh.
different process, but they let Lord Miller and all the directors. I tragically can't think of any of them off the top of my head, but like they let them make the Spider-Man Miles Morales film that they wanted to make, and it came out superbly. Like Academy Award winning, literally. It's like I mean, it's trying to just
And
making
even when they
making
let Marvel take over,
for
their Spider-Man films.
cynicism is not a good cynicism, and corporate rights are not a good reason to make a film. That's a lesson that Hollywood, well, I mean, they choose not to learn, not they can't
I'm
learn.
sure they made so much money just giving Marvel the reins to make their Spider-Man films. Like, this movie's made at least $3 billion or something. It did very well. and you didn't make anything close to
No
that.
Way Home alone made like 2 billion, close to it.
I mean, it's very clear that people love Spider-Man. They always have.
Spider-Man's like the most popular comic character ever. At
Yeah,
least
I mean,
for Marvel.
it's yeah, debatable, but yeah, it's definitely one of the highest because he's a very good hero. Frankly, I hope that they take the real comic, side of Spider-Man for the Spider-Man 4, 5, 6, or whatever. Because I think a lot of people do love the ground level, sort of Spider-Man saves New York.
Well, I think Spider-Man 4 is going to be very, very street level. There's talk of Matt Murdock in it. There's talk of Kingpin being the villain. Maybe
That's good.
Scorpion comes back from
I
Homecoming.
think Spider-Man, honestly, Spider-Man No Way Home, it's really fun. But I think Spider-Man, the first one they did from Marvel,
Homecoming.
Homecoming, yeah, I think that's the best one they've done, just in terms of like servicing the character itself. And yeah, I
I
don't
want to
know.
go watch Homecoming again.
Yeah,
It's been a
That's a
couple
good
years.
one.
I'll get let me truly damn this film.
All right.
For some reason, I rewatched Ready Player One recently, and Ready Player One was a better film than Madam Web.
Yeah, Ready Player One's not a very good film. But yeah, no, it's definitely better than this. This is
Yeah.
unredeemable.
I mean, Declan, the difference between, and I do follow you on Letterboxd, 2 stars and 2.5 stars, not that big a difference.
It's like I feel like I put it as 2 stars because it's not like actively in.
It is. It is
Okay,
actually
no, but
bad.
it is. Honestly, the problem is I have trouble rating films I dislike because I don't watch many films I actively dislike, so it's hard to pick.
I think Dakota Johnson has this at like half a star on her personal letterbox.
Honestly, you're probably right.
I mean, you gotta feel free. Feel free to just
Might have to. I might.
Dakota Johnson is a great actress. Like, this is just tragic. It's very tragic.
I went 1.5, and most of that is because we don't get a credit scene.
Yeah, fair.
I give it half a star.
Fair.
I also gave Morbius 1.5, but
yeah,
these guys are insane.
Ben, are you excited to rewatch Madam Web this weekend?
No, I'm not. After watching it, I really thought that we were doing this episode next week, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll watch it with you. And now,
no, there's no fucking chance we're watching this movie this weekend. No way.
This is horrible. I mean, I think I might throw up in my mouth.
Watch something else.
Yeah, so I think we've said basically everything we can say about Madam Web.
It costs like $100 million. Like, what effects?
Yeah.
You can make them in Photoshop now. They're from 2000s.
I want to say that the writers of Morbius and Madam Web, I don't know what you have on Sony Pictures, but share the love. I want to make a movie.
Hell yeah.
If your movies are the baseline, I feel like I can do like what Declan says for Madam Web and Ready Player One. I can do half a star better.
I respect these writers. Yeah. They're raking in the bag. I'm sure they're getting, enough money, and it's like a backup quarterback. It's like you never know they're bad until you really examine them.
It's what
like
probably
Sam
I'll
Darnold
never know whether they're bad or good. They're just raking in the cash.
What it probably is it's like every day they get a phone call. Hi, it's me, the executive. I need you to do this scene, and they just go like, sure, and do it, and that probably like.
No, I think that might have been how it was for Morbius. I think they were actually trying with this one.
I think with this one they got a call every time. It's like, we need to kill the Spider-Man universe every single day. Executive.
I don't know what voices you guys are doing, but that was funny. All right, so Madam Web is a movie that is currently in movie theaters. I'm not going to tell you to watch it because I don't think you should watch it.
Mhm.
My mind is broken.
Even if you want to like keep up for whatever reason with the Sony universe of Spider-Man characters, with Venom and Morbius and Craven coming out later this year, Madam Web doesn't even fucking connect to it. So don't bother.
Mhm.
I think is the bottom line.
Actually does. Her web connects them all.
Set him up
True.
for that. You like that? I set it up. He knocks it down. All right. Let us know your thoughts on Madam Web if you decide to see it. In the meantime, next week we are going over to Declan's
Mhm.
movie. He won Funky Films last time. We're talking about Her, Spike Jones, Joaquin Phoenix, and the voice of Scarlett Johansson.
Mhm.
So we will
Man,
have that
it's a
for
good
you.
movie, but it's so much better than this.
It is. It is.
It's going to be, and I feel bad for Max. Max wanted to be here, but we had to postpone a night
It's
because
my fault.
someone,
It's
Ben,
my
didn't
fault.
see the movie.
Me,
Max
my
saw
web.
Madam Web, and he's not even going to be on the
Incredible.
podcast episode about it.
Honestly.
Pour one out
Honestly.
for Max tonight. All right.
Mhm.
We will see you for Her, not Madam Web 2. Next.
No, God!
Now that I've said it, it's in the ether and it's going to be made. You know
How
we're getting
dare
a
you.
sequel.
How dare you.
Just after Craven the Hunter makes $1 cravillion. All right, we'll see you next week. We're doing Her Friday.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.